one. Okay. So I'm glad that many of you turn up today. So we have reaching about 300 students. Yeah. So as what we expect lah. So we are from FSG all over the Malaysia lah, I guess. So many campus. So those who know me, I mean from FSG Shah Alam, I hope everyone's coming. And I will show you that this webinar will not be, the recording of this webinar will not be passed around until you have a valid reason that you cannot come, then you can request for the recording. Okay? And just bear with us until 12 o'clock today. I hope we can finish early depending on the speaker. So today we have with me Professor Madia, Dr. Fakar Zaman bin Raja Yahya, and then we also have Dr. Muhammad Hanis bin Idris, which is representative from the ethics, UiTM ethics. So those who are involved doing ethics, please attend. And then for I'll provide the the attendance form later. Okay. And if you notice that we don't have a mod 3 case study, because we have, I think, very little mod 3 punya, I'll call students doing it mod 3, but I actually let the supervisor to guide you on mod 3 because I think we don't want to, spend more time on something that people are not interested to do it. Okay, anyway, I'm here to basically brief you. Supposed to be a moderator, tapi tak ada moderator. It's last minute planning. It's basically too much thing to cover, so I cannot get the speaker for the mode 1. So I be just volunteer myself to be talking about the how to write how to prepare a report for mode 1. Is my voice clear? Kalau clear, please thumbs up sikit. Good. Okay. Anyway, you are free to ask question when I notice any important question, then I can just stop and answer you first. Okay, tak apa. I think your coordinator already briefed you on the lesson plan. You should know where are you at now. Where are you supposed to, what is your progress lah, basically you should know. I think you are about to submit your lecture review already, kan? You have to start your lecture review already. So we are talking about how you're going to prepare the titles. I think you also maybe done the draft for your research objective and all with your supervisor. Ada tak yang ada lagi tajuk? Please tell me now. Ada tak? Dia tak finalize tajuk lagi. Ada ke? Tak ada? Okay, kalau tak ada, bagus. Have you got your objectives ready? Ataupun masih tak ready lagi objektif? Semua okay? And then it's supposed to be at your if it is a proposal, then it's supposed to be at the literature reviews process, stage. So have you started writing your literature review? Ada yang tak start lagi? Yang masih keliru? So anyway, today I will just briefly, tak apalah, bodoh yang tak kenal saya kan. So basically, I have a bachelor in technology from Monash University and a PhD in pharmacology. Been into industry for some times. So kamu dah tahu dah berapa umur saya kan? So I'm 88 babies. So basically, in my talk for this 1 hour, I will include AI assisted academic writing because I don't want you to misuse AI. Uh, and along the way, we are going to look at how we're supposed to draft your introduction, how you're supposed to draft your literature review, and after that, the method, results, and discussion. And of course, until the conclusion. Okay, and then after that, uh, you'll see why AI score is very important, and maybe yeah. So I've been talking about AI ni dah lama. I'm a speaker ataupun I've been invited as a speaker to talk about AI in writing. So I hope you feel privileged lah because I've been giving this. But it's only 1 hour, so nothing much I can cover. I always give 2 days punya workshop, so tak apalah. When we do an hour, I will teach you what is important, what is the only important tips and tricks if you are using AI, and what are you not supposed to do with the AI. Okay. Okay. So anyway, I will just briefly go through the proposal. Boleh kot? I mean, you have been going through with your supervisor. Kan? So, saya tak share apa-apa lagi ke? Patutlah. Okay, anyway. I will share you this window. Entire screen. Okay, so you can see this template. So this is basically a new template. Uh, of course, you can fill in everything here, but just bear in mind that later during the submission, you have to have your report being analyzed or be submitted to Turnitin. So your supervisor should have a Turnitin account provided by UIT. So ask them to check for you. You don't ask your coordinator or anyone else. Okay, ask your supervisor to check and give the Turnitin similarity and I writing percentage. Then only maybe you want to change ataupun you want to reduce ataupun you want to revise, then based on the first screening. Then after that, you have to make sure that during the submission, this Turnitin similarity should be below 30% and AI writing percentage should be 50%. Okay, so of course, if you go to the Turnitin, you will find that the AI writing score is not way to penalize student. Okay, so we are not penalizing you if you have more than 50. But remember this, if you have more than 50, your mark shouldn't be shouldn't will not be too will not be high. I mean, will this is because if you are relying on AI, copy and pasting from AI, your supervisor is an expert in writing, so they know what is important, what is not important. So this is where your marks will be reduced. It's not because your AI writing is high, okay? Bukan sebab AI score yang tinggi yang markah kamu akan rendah, tapi based on AI score, your supervisor ataupun reviewer akan berhati-hati untuk melihat kamu punya account, your writing, account. Your report lah pasti. Okay, so you have to make sure that your writing percentage is low enough so that they don't feel like you are cheating in terms of copy and pasting right away. Okay, of course I will teach you how to basically reduce the AI writing method. So this is a very important tip if you follow me until the end of this talk. Okay, anyway, so you can write your title, everything is here. So what is important is you have to follow the format, don't change anything. You just need to copy and paste your content ataupun you just can start writing right away using this template. So you have to prepare your executive summary proposal. Okay, so this can be last, right? This can be last. Okay, what you should include is basically your problem statement, objective versus methodology, expected outcomes, implications, significant of output, and this is not in length. This is supposed to be in short. So you have to summarize everything based on what is important. So introductions is up to 500 words. Okay, this limit this word limit is for you, is to guide you, not to over elaborate certain things that may be not important. So you should only come up with something that is only important. You just write something that only uh, needed in the introduction. So you have to know basically, and your supervisor should help you with the content, whether it's on correct, okay or not. And bear in mind, if you copy and paste from AI, the response can be very fluffy. We right away know that this is not the right scientific writing. Okay, I know you have many tricks lah, kan? Tapi yeah, we should know. If you have any tricks, then that's good, that's fine. Tapi make sure the content is your responsible. Yeah, it's your responsibility to make sure that the content is uh, scientific enough. Provided that you have many scientific evidence accompanied in any statement that you write. Okay, yeah. So I'll show you how you can craft a good introduction letter. You have to come up with a problem statement. So problem statements and introduction, sometimes they can be redundant, but introduction, please introduce some problem statement. Don't leave everything in problem statement. Problem statement part, you should elaborate more on the problem statement and the research gap that you should the research gap that you want to highlight. Okay, so it's one or two sentences to explain the problem which one you want to solve. Okay, the research questions. Okay, this research question is very easy. If you have objective, you have a 3 objective, then you have 3 research question. Unless you want to combine, that's fine. Tapi whatever research question that you write should reflect in your objective. You don't ask question that you cannot solve. Okay, you want to solve your question, your problem, then you have to come up with the same problem. You have to come up with the objective of the same problem. Okay, so how you want to solve that? So it can be up to 2 to 3 objective. Don't go like 4 and 5. Okay, it's only FYP. Significant of study, normally they don't really look into in details, because I think you should know the area of study and you should come up with the importance of how they carry the research. But it's very important for marking, so don't take it lightly lah. Okay, then after that, the outcome. So what is the difference between significant and outcomes? So this is why the study is important. Yeah? For expected outcome, what are you trying to, briefly describe what could be the product or service that you can come out from the research. Okay. Okay, then after that, you have the literature review. So literature review is about 250 words. I think it's not really length. It's not really long, but you can make sure that your outline is covering the scope of the study. That is important. And then you have the research methodology part. And this one, I think you are not going to have a problem. You just that make sure that it's in past participant, in what called the past tense, in past tense, that sentence. Sorry, not past. Sorry, future tense sentence. Okay, it will be and not was. If you're using was, that means you are trying to copy and paste without reading it. Okay, so flowchart is important. Try to create your flowchart based on the objective. So objective 1, what are the parameters that you're going to study and the method that you're going to use. Okay, and then after that, the Gantt chart. So Gantt chart ni ramai yang buat silap. So Gantt chart should cover the whole study, not until the first semester only. Okay, semester 5 and semester 6, you should cover everything. And from this, if you this one, just choose one lah, dan jangan sila dua. If you start in April, then you use this one. In October, then start with this one. Then you can use this one lah, because if not, you just need to change the date here. Okay, and then the reference. Okay, the reference, please belajar guna EndNote atau Mendeley atau Zotero. Don't do manually. Okay, kita dah canggih sekarang ni. So if you still prefer doing manually, then you are ke belakang. Okay, because what EndNote and Mendeley or Zotero, they will cut your time short. I mean, in preparing all these references. Trust me, and you just need to learn. You can go to the Ptar UiTM and then learn how to use EndNote lah, atau tanya supervisor lah. So minimum 15 journals and 30% of which should be published within the last 5 years. This is very lenient lah, 20%. In a real research article, you should have more than 60 or 70% of latest evidence. Okay, so this is just your proposal template. Okay, now we have about 40 minutes to cover how we can how to actually write a research articles ataupun proposal in this context proposal, but we are preparing for your research report as well. So just bear in mind. So I will cover the result and discussion as well. So not for your proposal submission, but for your letter proposal research report submission. So Mod 1 is basically is a lab base. Supposedly is a lab base, tapi is we are not going to limit the Mod 1 into a lab base only. So it basically is a research. It's not research. I mean, of course, everything is research. Yeah. Whenever you have in methods in your proposal, then you are using Mod 1. Yeah. That includes meta-analysis and systematic reviews. If you are using systematic reviews and meta-analysis, you please use Mod 1 instead of Mod 2. Faham? Although they are part of reviews, but they are not really a narrative review, and I'm afraid the rubrics are different. So later your examiner follow Mod 2, they cannot get the right rubrics for you. Okay, and then so we are basically looking at this like how we can introduce the 3R method, how we can do AI assisted academic writing. I really want to show you how, because I know at the end of the day you will use AI, but how to use it critically and not just copy and paste. So we have to know about ethical AI first. AI, you should use it to augment human capability, enhance productivity, and improve the quality of content. I can see the difference that the reports now you have less grammatical error. That's good. But what you are looking is a critical thinking. So all this you have to nurture. So why ethical AI is important? Because you want to focus on higher level tasks like critical thinking, analyzing, and also how you can nurture your creativity using different tools. And so that is more important. Of course, you can do summarization and all that, but the main thing is a critical thinking. You have to remember the content of your work is your responsibility. It's author responsibility. Kalau research articles is yours, of course, kalau ada supervisor, is supervisor responsibility. Okay, so you have to make sure the content is scientific, as mentioned, is scientific enough. Why is AI is important? Because you can now express your thought, ideas, and intelligence more confidently and accurately, so that you can harness the full potentials of human intelligence from the global perspective. Of course, sometimes you feel like unfortunate, not for unfortunate lah, rasa sebab kita we are not basically use English as a mother tongue kan. So there be some kind of barrier kat situ. So right now there's no reason that you cannot produce a very good report. It's just that you make sure that you can understand the report. Okay, you don't simply just put in everything from the response. So kamu tahu kan pasal ni? Semua tahu kan? Confession from the student. The problem with the student, dia ingat kita tak tahu dia guna ChatGPT. Okay, we all know. It's either the what call the supervisor ataupun lecturer tu dia tak check betul-betul, ataupun you are just lucky enough to pass the assignment. But I tell you, if you've been caught ataupun your examiner ataupun to really look at your content, then definitely you will get markah yang rendah. So you don't risk your life with the ChatGPT by copy and pasting like this. But of course, I encourage you to use all these AI tools. I never discourage people to use, even in generating idea. Sometimes people say, from this particular, issue and problem ni, there's many lecturer yang akan uh, bangkitkan problem. Anyway, does not stop you from thinking. It's just that the channel your thinking into more valuable, in more productive way. You can cut your time short. You can save your time, and you can now spend your time more on critical thinking and creativity. This is what you need to adapt lah, kan? With using of AI, I need to think more. Not like you have to think on how to prepare a sentence, tapi think on whether this content is correct or not. Okay? So instead of working 18 hours, you can work more convenient and more in just short time lah. So this is very important. Macam kita lah, rumah mana dekat 2 km, 3 km, boleh je naik bisikal, naik motor. Tapi kenapa kita pilih untuk jalan kaki? So there's always a reason lah. So people ada different perspective. So anggap je, don't jangan nilai orang punya perspektif. Dia mungkin nak jalan kaki sebab nak sihat. Dia mungkin nak cari idea sendiri tanpa menggunakan AI. Tapi in other perspective, kita gunakan AI untuk brainstorm supaya kita dapat idea yang lebih bernas. Maybe dia akan spend masa yang lama untuk dapatkan idea yang bernas because you kena baca satu-satu articles. But you have AI tools, you can read basically summarize, got a summary of everything in just a short time. So it's just a matter of how you can save time, okay, and of course increase productivity. This is important because I want you all to aware that kalau kat luar pun dia tak letak AI score as one of the indicator. So you have to know that the reviewer is responsible and accountable for the content of the review. That means the review can be your supervisor, you can be yourself as an author, okay, and then you can use even in publication you can use generative AI, but only to improve language and readability of the work with the appropriate disclosure. You have to disclose. You can put in your proposal if you are using any generative AI tools to help you with the writings ataupun to help with the methodologies. If you are using just to check the grammar, then it's fine. No need to put it as a declaration statement. Tapi if you're using something that for the database searching and all that, you are allowed to put some disclosure. You are encouraged to put a disclosure. So you belajar to basically declare the use of AI influence in their work. Okay. The reason being because of this lah kan. There's a risk that the technology will generate incorrect and incomplete or biased conclusion. Kita tak nak bila you copy and paste from Perplexity ke, from ChatGPT ke, from Claude ke. Of course, they reference provided. Tapi how far you can actually validate lah. Okay. I don't want any missing. If you miss anything, miss to remove any bias ataupun incorrect statement, then you are responsible with that. Okay, talking about ChatGPT lah. ChatGPT become a viral and suddenly introduce the world with the AI. Without we knowing that basically AI dah lama dah. Since 1950 dia dah studies the AI, artificial intelligence lah. I mean of course in different way lah. But anyway, AI was, I mean still in, I mean we are using AI as a traditional AI, but this one is more of a generative AI kind of tools. So we can automate simple tasks, we can generate viral content media, contents, ideas, goal-oriented articles, blog posts, everything you can do with the ChatGPT kan. So, siapa yang betul-betul tak guna ChatGPT langsung, saya tak tahu juga. Ada ke? Oh, ada tak guna? Okay, good. Masih suci lah ni. Sebab rasa macam tak guna lagi ChatGPT kan. I mean, kalau tak kenal dia tak cinta. Itu yang saya cakap. Because I'm the one who first explore ChatGPT in article writing. So I'm among the first lah, because saya bagi talk tu memang tak ramai yang buat talk pasal article writing. I can see the advancement sangat laju. So every time I have to renew my slide. And I found different perspective lah compared to those yang tak guna. So yeah, you try to explore this many things. Even if it can be assist you in academic, in learning, in learning. Kalau kamu, if I can selit sikit about the use of notebook LM, okay, you go to notebook LM, saya tak kasi notebook LM. Kalau siapa yang kamu, you still have some course kan with exam. Notebook LM, kamu you can upload your lecture note, okay? And you get a summary for your lecture note. You can create mind map from the lecture note just by clicking the button. And then you can actually listen to a podcast. There's two panel, AI panel yang akan bercakap pasal that particular topic. Okay, and you can basically ask question during the podcast. You can further ask for elaboration if you don't understand certain things. So dia tak ada masa, you tak ada reason for you not to get A or A plus tau. So it just malas atau tak je. You have to explore. Basically you have to explore. There's many items. I think some of you already explore kan. You think you got a benefit from that. So learning is like an ability for you to, let me rephrase. Everybody will have a different learning process. Kalau kamu rasa kamu tak boleh just by reading the lecture note, you tak boleh, then you go try to find any learning methodologies. Okay. Then when you find that the learning methodologies work for you, then you can, then you know lah. Okay. Okay, anyway, ChatGPT ke, Perplexity ke, anything you are supposed to create a prompt, kan? Prompt ni maksudnya, in other words, it's like a question lah kan, ataupun instruction. Okay, so the prompt that you give supposed to be specific enough. So it's like a HelloFresh. You need to have all the ingredients, complete ingredients. Then only you can find a very good answer ataupun response. So you need to be the chef. So what is required to be the chef? Siapa tahu? What is required to be a chef? Knowledge lah, kan? You have to have a knowledge on the food that you are prepare, all the ingredients and all that. Sama macam kita, kalau kita nak draft ataupun kita nak craft a good prompt, you must know what's supposed to be inside the prompt. Okay. Some information are important. You have to look at how you can put the length and what the topics, the context. You can use rephrase. You can get it online. You can replace. You can put a persona. So this these tips are very good. Like to act as a student. If you're acting as a student for something, then you get a student answer. If you're acting as a supervisor of a research project, then you will get answer based on different perspective. And if you're acting as a scientist, then you get more better results. Faham tak? Uh, so the trick is always evaluate the response. There could be incorrect information. Incorrect information, incorrect references. So you have to just copy and paste and validate the reference. Boleh eh? So kalau uh, tak nanti you will put uh, what call the imaginary data ataupun fake data inside your book. And that is really a red flag tau. It's a red flag. It's consider menipu. Consider menipu. So refine the prompts to lead to closer goal. So kalau rasa macam it's not good enough, then you have to just put the ingredients. So anyway, you have to understand them. Put some context. Some words can mean in two distinct meaning. So you have to make sure that you like I said, you can put a analogy like a persona here. Acting as a student in biomedical science ataupun as students in microbiology ataupun acting as a microbiologist. So we get different perspective just by uh, creating a prompt. Okay, and you need to, of course, like for example, kalau introduction, you should know what is inside the introduction. So you need to make sure that all the components in the introductions are in your prompt. So that will cover everything, for example. But remember this, when I said you are generating response from the prompt, it doesn't mean that you have to copy and paste out. It will help you to start with your writing. The idea on how to craft a good sentence. So that is what I meant. It's not, I actually Dr. Farid ajar copy and paste dia daripada GPT. Okay. Of course you can do, tapi at the end of the day you will result in the high score. And at the same time you will just get very low mark lah. I mean not low lah. I mean not very, tapi kat situ kita boleh tengok. I mean you have to be careful. Then you can use collage paper, ask for more response. I mean you can get request for another response from the same prompts, and then after that you can just play around with the content. So where should go first and where should go later. Can you use humanizer? That one will come later. Okay, so this is just example. From first prompt, you see how simple is that? Suggest a novel research idea on biomedical, and this one. So I think as a scientist, how you can prepare a novel research idea that is have a high likelihood to have a funding from NIH and WHO. So this how you can prepare a very good idea, a very high impact idea. Okay, and it's supposed to be aligned with the current health priorities and everything. So they will give you two different ideas. Okay, kalau tak ada idea lagi, I mean, if you are still exploring about the topic, then it's something that you can actually do in ChatGPT or any other AI tools lah. Okay, you can get idea, you can get papers. Tapi kenapa kita guna search paper? Kasi kita boleh guna Google Scholar. Because we want to make sure that later you can just get a summary of this paper later by just use a next prompt. So can you explain what are the summary of these articles? Maybe you can just get something from the article. Okay, but make sure it's the correct reference lah. Okay, you can always validate. Or else we can do a search string, keywords search string kan. You can minta boolean, keyword with boolean. So boolean ni kena faham or, and, or, bracket. Yeah, so at the end of the day you can get this nice keyword for your article searching. Okay, article searching ni is very important because you don't want to miss any important data. Okay, you can do brainstorming, get 10 ideas, get how the mechanisms are. So just from input, expand, you can expand and you can evaluate, and after that you can evaluate, you can just visualize. Visualize, it can be in a mind map. It's just to get idea, just to get how it will flow well. So. And then the feedback lah. So what are the potential drawbacks, for example, if you're doing this and this. So this is how you do a brainstorming. But as a student, I think it's always good to have the tables, literature review table. So you know what is the topic, the scope of the study. Then you just need to list all the papers that you have, all the papers that related to the article, to the title, to the scope of the study, and just to extract this information. Extracting information, you can use connected papers, you can get the PDF gear, you can do consensus. I just mentioned this so that you can explore, because we don't have time to go open one by one. So yes, I just mentioned here, you can get connected papers. This is C is consensus. And then you can go, I think all students should have PDF gear. So by PDF gear, you can just get your supervisor's lecture note, sorry, lecturer lecture note ataupun any papers lah, ataupun papers lah. So this is basically how it looks like. You can basically change, you have these hot tools available for free. Like for example, if you are open, saya try buka. Tak lecture note, tak apa. Kita buka paper lah, for example. Ada paper ni. You can chat, you can actually ask anything with regards to the papers. Kalau you nak fill the tables with the information, you just ask je. If of course you can read kan. Tapi kalau banyak papers, this is just cut sometimes lah. Okay. Okay, and then yeah, other than that, you can use connected papers and consensus to get the input lah. Okay, next is the how to write an LR. So LR, okay, first of course, just take note of this line. So first of course, you have to do tabulation. I mentioned about tabulation, prepare the tables, even up to getting their corpus hash index, impact factor. Why is that important? Because you want to make sure that you are referring to high impact journal. If you want to back up some statement, you must come up with the highest impact factor that related to the statement. That will be a very good scientific writing. Faham tak? Impact factor ni means highly cited paper lah. Okay, highly cited paper. If you have a index, then okay. Okay, and then after that, the year lah, of course, you have to prepare. So all this basically, just I try, boleh tak saya dapat, tapi I think I've changed the link. Tak apa, basically you can just screenshot and this is examples of the columns that you can use. Okay, so the description is basically how you lay the groundwork. The groundwork means later when you have the outline, of course you have to the outline kan. You nak study, you nak cakap pasal apa mula-mula, so starting from the background and everything. And there is where you lay the groundwork. So the reference is basically needed for this particular subtopic. And then this next subtopics, we have this to support. Next subtopic, we have this articles to support. So all the information, the findings that is quoted can now be included in your literature review. Okay. So this is how you do the filtering. So put year so you can stay current. But don't ignore the classic. The classic should be used when you are classic means what call the literature ataupun paper yang lama. When it comes to definition ataupun theory, then you can refer to that. But for evidence, better you support with more recent data. It's not 20%, 20% is very weak. You should go up to 80%. Yeah, 80% is supposed to be current literature. Okay. Scaffold means the structure, the outline. So show you how you can get like outline later. Then after that, when you have the outline, then you start writing about the topics, the subtopics. And LR review should have made topics, the scope of the study. So then after that, in that part, your writing of each subtopic, you have to have a good critical thinking, where you can do an in-depth analysis beyond the summary. You have to critics. You have to critics whether you support this, whether this paper support this, whether they support, whether there's another paper that is actually not have a different data ataupun uh, we not back the statement. I mean, they have a different. Uh, it could be something that maybe that's not significant. This is significant, but it's not significant. This one is increased, but this one reduced. So you have to critics. Okay. And then you may in the LR you should have tables and figure. Okay. And after that, when you read, you know that the LR is flow well. You can check the transparency. Transparency means the fact check, right? Easy fact check. And of course you have to proofread. Okay. So let's can we go one by one? I'll start again. Am I disconnected? Sekejap eh. Sorry, it's crashed for the second time. I don't know, maybe the slide's too big. Uh, Let me open my my slide again. It's still recording, right? Okay. That's okay. Writing system. Where are we? Saya tahu TikTok ni tadi. Okay, can you hear me kan? Kita 10 minit je lagi. Harus sempat lah. Okay, anyway. Okay. Nah, kat sini kan. So some comics for you to read. Kenapa kena letak please? Have you put please in your prompt? Ini just kidding tak tahu betul ke tak. Okay, anyway. We are far from a self-aware AI. Self-aware AI is where the what called the AI will basically doing all the works by a human lah, basically that work. overtake humans' capability. So that is a self-aware AI. We are currently on reactive AI. There are 4 stages now. If I can open the slide, tapi it's okay lah. I think just to let you know. Okay, there's 4 stage. So the last one is a self-aware AI. So we hope we don't go to that self-aware AI generation. Okay, so start preparing yourself, putting please when asked the prompt. Okay, tabulation you have been done. So this is the outline. You can just ask maybe the outline for your research. Can you get the outlines and everything? This is basically what topic do I cover? Okay, so this is basically how it can help you uh, with the scaffolding of your work. So you must talk about the if you got methodologies, if the gaps, the research aim, and all these are basically a component, not really an outline. Kalau outline, then you can give me an outline. So you get this introduction, you get the background, some of the background. So first subtopic, second subtopic. But you are not limited to just follow everything. So I said, get as many as respond, then you can choose. Do a collage paper. Maybe you in the first topic you want to talk just only about the importance of skin health. Put as a one main topic. And this one you talk about the common skin disease and disorder. It's a one big topic. And then you want to talk about this postbiotics enhancement, for example, in skin barrier function. You want to just focus on certain things that makes your LR flows well, then you can choose that. So this is basically a collage paper. Okay, for review articles, this method will be important. Okay, review articles because you want to just follow the what called the hypothesis that you are created, that you're creating. This is basically not really. If you want to create a table just for you to read, then it's okay. But you have to make sure that the reference is okay. Sometimes it's require you to pro to add certain prompts and make sure that the reference givens are okay. So how to write an introduction? Good introduction should have first an overview, the prior research, the rationale of paper. Then maybe if the methodology is important, then you can describe methodology. Then you should have the existing statements and then the outline. Outline basically the objective. Okay. So this is a good introduction, I can say. So despite this, you are talking about an overview. So the overview, basically you have to look at the problem. So the problem, what is the real problem? That is the overview, not really a general statements on history. So that will keep for the LR if you want. But an overview of a topic can be just directly towards the problem. Okay, the general problem. We don't talk about a specific problem yet. The specific problem is later. Okay, so problem statement is basically how you are focusing on the research object, research problem. This is a general what call overview of the research problem. Okay, so what is the current solution? So you can take about rationale of the paper. Talking about the blue color, the prior research on current solution. So what is the current solution? So that's why this is not your problem yet. This is just a general problem, and that will be solved by many papers. And then after that, you are trying to go into the rationale of the study. Okay, then from the rationale of the study, of course, you have put a lot of evidence lah to support that this study could be better if we can do this, it can do this. Something like that. Then after that, you propose. When you propose, you want to propose, before you propose, you need to have your research cap. So research cap ni, nanti kita tengok apa itu research cap. And then you have to put the scope of the study lah. And then after that, of course, it looks maybe very lengthy for you. Tapi originally it's not that lengthy lah, because after the reviewer comment, then it become very long. Okay, and then after that you can put this is somehow dah masuk the scope lah. Okay, the scope means what do you have? Yeah, what do you have and how you can solve the problem, and what are the methods lah, the outline objective. Okay, so if you know the components of introduction, then you should able to write. So this is very important. So you can first, why you need to do this research. So that's why I said this is a general problem. Why is it important? It's a general problem. So what is already known about the topic, the prior research, how they already solved the problems, whether it's really solved the problems, and this problem research, whether they have the gap. Can maybe this particular researcher have studied and done this and this, but they forgot that they actually missed this. So the missing link tu yang kita kena put as the uh, put as a highlight of your paper. So if you can come up with that, then your introduction will be very good. Yeah, you will have an excellent introduction. Then you get extra mark for this. Okay, when you can highlight the gap from the previous. Of course, you have to discuss this evidence first, and then only come up with this gap. And then why is it important that you need to learn for new this information? Why this gap is important basically to I mean for you to gain a new information. Why is this gap can lead to a new information, and then how you are going to do that by having the outline, the objective. Tapi gap can be many things. Can be different lah. So if evidence, then it's based on whether they have lack of evidence on this knowledge. Maybe they have lack of theory, um, difference in theory. Then talking about how this theory can practically be uh, practical knowledge lah. Basically, how this theory can be different in the real world. The methodology, maybe you want to look at the previous paper are using this method and this are using this method, and there have could be a difference in the results. Okay, the empirical gaps, then you have theoretical gap and population gap. Population gap can be just maybe different population will have a different result. So all this you have to think. You have to think which one is basically your research gap. Okay, and then you need to further elaborate and discuss how the gap can leads to new information. Next is the flow. You have to read the flow. Okay, whether it's good or not, and if you unsure, then you can just copy and paste to the ChatGPT and see if the flow if it's flow whereas rasa macam susah nanti lambat nak fikir, just copy and say your sentence and then whether it's flow okay or not. Okay, transparency means you can just get the information validated lah. That's why it's my highlight. Tak ada highlight. I thought I put some highlight. Oh, saya dah. Okay, proofread, revise, and then after that you can do conclusion. Okay, so that is LR. Still long way to go, tapi tak apalah, kita just so we can just keep some of the yeah. So check grammar. If you want to further know your weaknesses in English writing, then you can always do this. Get the original and the corrected version, so you see what is different. Okay, that's where you improve your English. So this is very important. ChatGPT is a terrible writer. Don't rely on that. Okay, but it's a good critic. So if you can prepare your own and then you ask them to however critics and then you can get very good results from the ChatGPT. Okay, since uh, we have a very limited time, so I will just jump into. Okay, kalau if you want to prepare a very good a chart, then you can use this napkin. I think it's very easy to explore. Just type napkin, then you just explore. This one prepared by Adobe Illustrator. This one prepared by using just maybe you can go to any free PNG. Then you can get a very good PNG image. Just arrange based on your understanding. This one bio render. Okay. Uh, so similar to introduction, you should know that supposed to contain with the component they can. So you in your prompt, maybe you just need to make sure that you have the component. For example, write a conclusion based on major findings, implications, suggest direction to the future research, clearly state how your current research fits into landscape, and all these are actually component in the conclusion. But if you ask directly, then it will give you a very fluffy writing that maybe it doesn't uh, make the purpose lah. Okay, so you have to know the components lah basically. and then you have to revise your prompt based on the components required. Okay. You have to know presumption checking is an AI detection should not be treated the same because Turnitin will give you different AI score, GPT 0 will give you different score, apa lagi undetectable will give you a different score. So we cannot rely on AI detection system um, to penalize you or for you to I mean to cut your marks ke tak boleh. Although we put 50% in Turnitin, it just a way for you for the reviewer ataupun sorry for the reviewers, the examiner, and also for your supervisor to check whether you are writing this on your own ataupun you memang copy and paste from the beginning, memang semua copy and paste. Okay. Okay, so how basically you can break the AI algorithm. Sorry ya Dr. Man, saya ambil masa sikit lagi. Dr. Man ada ke? Okay, how you basically can break the AI algorithm. Macam mana nak dapat markah yang rendah? Okay, like for example, okay, in your research, you should have a sample paper, a reference paper, betul tak? It can be many. If you are writing for introduction and they're actually talking about one paragraph, and that paragraph you want to include in your literature, in your literature review, for example, you can just use word rewrite. Tapi make sure when you rewrite tu, you don't when you do a rewriting macam ni, you don't focus on one paper. It can be made from many papers. Okay, one thing about rewrite is that if you go to Turnitin, they will give you similarity index lah because you are rewriting from a published paper, published articles. So we give 99% kalau nampak it will give you 99%. Tapi AI writing is 0% because it's basically published paper and it's written by another person. So what you can do is basically when you rewrite during ChatGPT, basically when you write using ChatGPT, this is what will result to you. When you rewrite, you will get similarity percentage of 50%. Tapi AI writing, although it's been rewritten by the AI, they'll still give it 0%. So nampak tak? Dekat AI detection ni, you will see AI generated only 0%. AI generated text that was AI paraphrased. That's why I don't encourage you to use humanizer. Kan? Humanizer will basically be caught here. Kalau guna Quillbot, dia akan caught kat sini. Okay. And then after that, that is the first way on how you can break the algorithm lah. Of course, you will get similarity index still 50%. Way much more to reduce. You need to at least 30%, kan? Tapi in the real world, in article submission in journals, sometimes they will ask you for 10 or 12% or 15% saja. So in FYP, you got 30%, you are lucky. Okay. Secondly, you need to break the paragraph so you can break the IL algorithms. Just imagine, so all this get the reference, kan? You remove all the reference, you just replace with the new reference. How you get a new reference? From the tables lah. From the tables, you can get from the consensus. Just get the relevant evidence to support the statement and replace with the current statement. This original draft, I just get the ChatGPT test to write for me. You know what happen if you ask the ChatGPT to write for you? This AI writing become 100%. Betul tak? Kan? Similarity rate 14%. Okay, AI writing 100%. Definitely you have to be caught lah. Kan? So what happen is, try to put as much as evidence along in between the sentence. The break the paragraph means you have to put, okay, for example, chemotherapy often fails at advanced stage because of chemo resistant. And you can just put one reference here. Just put a study here. A study by this, actually have conducted this and demonstrate that. You just put the evidence around here, and around here. Therefore, you break the paragraph. So what happened after you break the paragraph? See how I break this yellow color one is how I add into a new reference from the paragraph created by ChatGPT. Can but remember you will get a similarity index of 56% if you just copy and paste. Still you have to rewrite this what called the evidence lah. I just want to show you that if you break the paragraph, you will get 0%. So is a better way compare you when compared to use when you comparing you using a humanizer or keyboard or anything. So I have these three R methods, but I won't cover here. But just good to know that there's way on how you can break, and this the way that you do when the way that I teach you to do is basically still an ethical way, because if you follow blindly line, you will get symmetry index of very high symmetry index. Still, this is a way on how you can write this article, but you have to bear in mind some of these keyword, some of the sentence need to be rewritten, rephrased based on your understanding. Don't worry, you can always proofread and check for the grammar. Okay, so with that, I think uh, dah, I end my presentation. I'm supposed to give you a 10 minutes for a question and answer. Ada ke? Ada ke soalan? I forgot to check because I've been coming in and out. Uh, just give me some time. In 5 or 10 minutes, I will provide you with the what call attendance. And of course, sorry, uh, class rep. Please have your own attendance, because I think if I have the attendance, it's no use lah. Class rep, can you prepare an attendance, and then this attendance should be given to your coordinator. Okay, boleh ya, class rep? Prepare a simple attendance form, and uh, then ask your I mean ask your friends to fill in, and then the record you can just pass to your coordinator for the documentation. So any question, guys? Tak ada. Betul tak ada? Do we have Professor Madia, uh, Dr. Fakrul Zaman?
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Faris.
Okay, terima kasih, Dr.
Jelas
Zaman.
ya? Suara saya jelas ke?
Jelas, okay. So saya kepada Profesor Madia Dr. Fakrul Zaman untuk teruskan dengan mod nombor 2 ya. Terima kasih semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, Assalamualaikum semua. Selamat pagi.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam, Professor.
Okay, so we want to discuss a bit on how to prepare a review article. Okay, at this moment, I think there might be some percentage of students taking this mode of proposal to complete final year project. So probably in some studies, literature review or review work is very important because there are lots of existing information that need to be compiled, summarized, and also analyzed further so that we can lead further studies on that particular area. Okay, now let me share my PowerPoint slide first. Okay, is this clear? Semua boleh nampak ya?
Boleh.
Okay, thank you. So the title given to me is about a review article, and I believe majority of you has gained some insights into the difference between review article and original article. So the way we prepare proposal is also slightly different. Okay, so these are the outlines of our discussion today. First, we need to understand the concept of a review article itself, how it is different from original article, and how we can carry out the preparation of review article. Then we need to know the components of review article. It means that we need to identify which type of information we need to provide so that we can complete it as a review article. How to start a review article, some tips, advices, and we can also use artificial intelligence tools to assist our preparation of review article. Importantly, we need to know the ethical aspect of AI, what AI tools can be used, and how to leverage these AI tools to improve our writing process. I think the aspect of AI has been discussed by Dr. Faris, so I won't go in detail. Just to highlight just another repetition on what you have discussed before. Okay, basically everyone can understand that a review article is a manuscript containing probably 3,000 words, 5,000 words, too many paragraphs, several infographics, several tables, and all being put into a single article to so that we can solve certain issues that can be seen in the title. So review article as compared to original article ataupun standard experiment, review article doesn't have any new findings like what we can discover in our labs. So there will be no standard methodologies like using micropipettes, certain instruments, chemicals, and so on. We just need to uh, summarize all the existing literature information into a new way so that other researchers can benefit from our articles. So basically, review article is to highlight what has been done in certain area. For example, from year 2000 until 2025. So within in the review article, we can see the progress, the development of arguments about certain issues. We can provide a new perspective or frameworks by synthesizing diverse findings. So this is what we can achieve through review article. if we compare to original article, probably we can produce a new finding using experimental tools. But the amount of information produced from experiment is probably limited. In the case of review article, we can generate more new insights so that other researchers can initiate uh, other works better. And the aim of review article is also to serve as a valuable resource for researchers, educators, and policymakers. Okay, um, especially for those are dealing with uh, national committee to decide whether a certain substance is toxic or safe and so on. Usually, the committee members refer to review article because review article it compiles many information from diverse research works. Then we can come up with a certain conclusion. In other words, review article is more conclusive compared to original article. Okay. Okay, so we can consolidate the existing knowledge or information about certain area. We can identify the research gaps from our literature gap, from our literature review work. We can guide a new research. We can also enhance academic credibility, and we can use the review article as a teaching and learning tool. So this infographic summarize what we have what I have mentioned just now. Okay, so this is a table for a comparison between review article and original article. As I mentioned just now, the most important thing that differentiate between them is the lab work. For original article, we need to carry out several lab works, experimental works, so that we can generate results. Okay. In the case of review article, we don't need to get into the labs. We don't need to use any equipments, lab apparatus, but we need to pay attention on literature information available in different databases. Okay. So to assist our review article, preparation of our review article, we can use Google Scholar database, Scopus, the Web of Science, and many more. Some articles they are indexed in Google Scholar, but they are not indexed in Scopus or Web of Science databases. Okay, so for a more comprehensive review work, I suggest you also access Scopus database. Um, Meaning that Google Scholar database it index uh, almost all types of article, including proceeding, journals, patents, publication. But in the case of Scopus and Web of Science databases, only limited type of publication being indexed. Okay, for a review article, it helps us um, to synthesize, evaluate, and summarize the existing literature. So we need to deal with probably up to 50 or 80 articles so that we can see the progress in certain area. It is different from original article. Probably we can read 30 articles. It might be enough to get some understanding about certain area. For methodology, as I mentioned just now again, okay, there will be no experimental works. We just rely on what has been found and published in the literature databases. For original articles, you need to understand the principle of methods. You need to get certain chemicals and instruments to produce the results. Okay, structurally, review article is slightly different from original article. We start with introduction. We can go straight to subsections of related to certain area, uh, and finally conclusion. Okay. In the case of original article, it starts with introduction, followed by methodology, result and discussion, and finally conclusion. Okay. Usually for review article, we set about 4 to 5 sections between introduction and conclusion, so that we can discuss better about the context we provide in the title. Okay, I will show you some one example on how to provide the structure of review article after this. Review article itself can be categorized into systematic review, narrative review, critical review, as well as scoping review. But the ones to be focused today are narrative review and critical reviews only. Okay, that would be sufficient for you to complete the FIP work. Okay, now we want to see the difference between critical review and narrative review. Okay, for a standard review work, we summarize the existing knowledge so that the new uh, work, new researchers can understand the overall aspect of certain uh, device. For example, substances, biological activities, and others. So we can speed up. The narrative review can speed up the process to gain a preliminary insight about certain biological problems, or for example, or certain issues. Okay. But the depth of analysis of narrative review is relatively lower than that of critical review, because in narrative review we just summarize the existing knowledge, but we do not put extra effort to identify the gaps or challenges in the existing knowledge. Narrative review is like descriptive or neutral work. For critical review, we can see it as argumentative and analytical work. As I mentioned just now, apart from summarizing the existing knowledge, critical review needs to provide some comments or opinions about the existing knowledge. Okay, for narrative review, it includes chronological or thematic summary, while critical review includes thematic or problem focus, meaning that critical review can be uh, more specific rather than compared to narrative review. Okay. Narrative review is suitable for beginners, new researchers to a particular research area, while critical review can guide us to future research. Okay, um, and what we can see in both critical and also narrative review is that both type of review nowadays include infographics and also relevant tables to summarize the existing knowledge. Probably in the past 30 years, we cannot see attractive infographics with different colors. So the new trend, the infographics include different colors so that the reader or researchers can understand better about we or problems. Okay, moving on to the component of review article. First, we need to provide the context, and the context can be seen in the title of our proposal or thesis work. And that title will limit the discussion. If not, the discussion would be too extensive and not related to what we want to achieve in the particular article. So designing a title of proposal is very important so that we can show the context of interest so that we can limit our discussion in review article. Okay. Um, in the background of study, after explaining a bit regarding certain topics, then we can identify the gaps. What we means are known or what we means um, understudied in our context. So this is important because it can help other researchers to identify uh, the relevant new information. Okay, so the research gap is very important in review article. Another component of review article is critique. We need to provide some comments, we need to provide some opinions on the existing information. Uh, it looks similar to research gaps, uh, um, but they are not identical. We will see the difference between critics and research gap after this. So without the critics or critical analysis, our review article probably looks simple and not attractive to most researchers. Okay, the component number 4 if review article is synthesis of knowledge. Okay, so without a thorough summary, identification of gaps, and also the critics, probably we cannot produce the new knowledge from our review article. So the synthesis of knowledge is dependent on the previous components, namely context, gaps, and also critics. Okay, for example, we can provide the context of review article using the relevant title. The title should be concise, not too long, but relevant to the issues or problem we want to solve. Okay, abstract should cover brief introduction, problem statement, objectives, and also uh, the significance of uh, our work. Okay, keywords should be provided, probably 5 different keywords, where um, in the situation where researchers want to study the context, to study our context, so they can use those relevant keywords. In introduction part, we need to provide the background of study. Okay, usually it involves several paragraphs, 4 to 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph need to define the smaller context, followed by problem statement and objective. Okay, but I do not include the significance of study here. You should know about it. In any research proposal, you should include significance of study, objective, and others. Okay, the problem statement should be specific, not too general. Nowadays, students use AI tools. They use AI tools to generate problem statement, and because of the lack of understanding of the uh, research context, students provide a very general problem statement and not acceptable. Okay, so to produce a good problem statement, there should be several sentences highlighting the specific issue, not too general. Okay, after introduction, probably you can set uh, several sections related to your research area. In the case of proposal, it is enough if you can include about 3 sections just to see the progress of your understanding about your research area. There should be no conclusion in your proposal, but references is a must. Okay, okay, in FIP2, in order to complete your thesis work, you need to add other sections so that your discussion about the problem or the issue becomes expanded and more comprehensive. So for any review work, I suggest you include at least 5 sections. Okay, so this structure is probably related to biology students because it is about the study of plants and their metabolites. So probably you can set the sections like this: taxonomy, secondary metabolites, biological activities, mechanisms, and also potential applications. Okay, the students from other programs can set the review article structure like this, and but of course the content is different from the one shown here. Maybe there are several students asking about the possible number of references for proposal. Actually, it depends on the context of your research area. But for proposal of review article, I would suggest um, about 30 references for proposal, um, and about 60 references for FIP2. Okay. If you compare with the proposal of original work, uh, the number of references for review article should be higher, indicating a wider discussion. Okay, for example, uh, you can see the context in this title. Antibacterial activity of graphene nanocomposites against pathogenic bacteria commonly found on food contact surfaces, a review. So here we can see 4 different areas or 4 different contexts that we put them together in a title. So in the background of study, you should cover the discussion about antibacterial activity, graphene nanocomposites, pathogenic bacteria, and food contact surface. As I mentioned just now, in the background of study, probably you can prepare about 4 to 5 paragraphs, followed by problem statement, objective, and significance of study. So context should be clearly seen in the title of your proposal. Moving on to the example of gap. Okay, so this one I uh, take this sentence, information or paragraph from a published journal in 2020. Just look at the last sentence. However, the extent of potential or the manifestation of COVID-19 has remained unclear. Okay, so this is a kind of a gap, research gap that could be seen in the published work. Okay, another example of a gap sentence can be seen here. To date, the benefits of Malaysian plant species as anti-biofilm agents are not well documented. Okay, so this is also a type of research gap can be included in our article. Moving on to the example of critique. So critique can also be understood as opinion uh, or our own expression about the existing knowledge. And usually, the critique sentence appear at the end of paragraph or in the middle of paragraph. So critique sentence appear after summarizing the existing literature information. So as you can see in this structure, section 3.3 in the article published by Lee et al. 2022, this paragraph starts with the related information. Okay, there are several citations that could be seen here, and lastly, critic sentence appear. Nevertheless, to date, the number of studies assessing combinations of AOPs and microalgae treatment remain very limited. Okay, so this is how we can provide a critic sentence in our review article. Okay, in the same from the same study, Lee et al. 2022, we can see in another paragraph showing the critic sentence. Okay, so this critic sentence also appears at the end of the paragraph. Poor pelletization through the addition of fungi and algae does not need extra chemical or energy inputs and may be a promising treatment solutions. So it sounds like a comment or opinion about the existing information in this section. Okay, another example of critic sentence that we can use in our review article. Okay, despite their promise, most research is limited to lab-scale applications with challenges in scalability, standardization of CFS content, and long-term stability. So the critic sentence can also appear in the middle of a paragraph. Okay, now we want to differentiate between summary sentence and critic sentence. Okay, the first sentence, for example, many studies use CVD to synthesize graphene from biomass. Okay, so the students from physics or material science program should know about this, I think. CVD stands for chemical vapor deposition, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah? So it looks a summary sentence. And usually at the end of this sentence, we can see several citations from Abu et al. 2020, for example, and others. So this sentence summarizes the related previous studies on CVD. Okay, when we want to prepare to provide a critic sentence, we need to analyze the existing information. And usually the critic sentence looks longer than summary sentence. Okay, for example, while CVD is common, its high energy demand and reliance on metal catalysts limit scalability compared to pyrolysis, as shown by S and al. Okay, so in the critic sentence, we can see the existing information and also our own opinion or expression about the current state of literature information. The same goes to the third example. Okay, the critic sentence is different and longer than the summary sentence. So, by providing the critic sentence, our review work would be more uh, informative and more useful to other researchers to initiate the new research work. Okay, then you need to know where to provide critic sentence. What aspects of critics that we can include in our review article. Okay, so at least we can provide critics on the methodology, experimental data, and also the generalization of certain theories or principles. Okay, for example, the first one, again, it is related to materials research. The widespread use of Hamer's method for graphene oxide synthesis ignores its generation of toxic nitrogen oxide gases as highlighted by this eco-friendly electrochemical alternative. Okay, so the bold sentence refer to the critic sentence we can provide in review article. We not only summarize the information, we also provide opinion or comments about the existing information. Okay, for the rest of examples, you can read on your own. Okay, so in general, we can provide critiques on different aspects, methodology, experimental results, and also the understanding of principle. Okay, so far, any question? Okay, I proceed. Okay, then we want to compare between research gaps and also critiques. They look similar but not identical. Okay, research gaps refers to the unexplored or underexplored or conflicting areas in the existing literature. Okay, for example, the bold sentence shown here, it refers to the research gap. There is limited understanding of how this mechanism vary in environmental isolates, particularly in aquatic ecosystems. The same goes to other example. There is a lack of consensus on the optimal dosage. Okay, usually, in the proposal, we can see this kind of research gaps included in the problem statement. Uh, so based on these research gaps, the one preparing the review article can provide related information so that the researcher can solve this problem, namely, for example, limited understanding of this mechanism and also uh, the lack of consensus of the optimal dosage. Okay, research gap, you need to prepare research gap sentence like this, for example, in your problem statement. So this would lead to opportunities for new studies. And of course, from your review article, can provide the new opportunities. In the case of critical analysis, it helps us in evaluating the quality, methodology, and conclusion of existing research. For example, we can see in these sentences. Okay, the majority of studies on biofilm formation utilize static models which fail to mimic the dynamic fluid conditions of natural environments, potentially leading to overestimation of antimicrobial efficacy. So this is what we call our own opinion or suspicion or comments about the existing literature information, about the conclusion made by previous studies. We can also provide the critics like this. Most rely on small sample size and lack robust clinical trials, limiting the generalizability of their findings. Okay, so based on these examples, I hope you can differentiate between research gaps and critics. And research gap is usually included in problem statement. Okay, how to start the review work? First, you need to provide the context of your study. So within the first chapter, usually we include the background, problem statement, objectives, and significance of study, followed by another chapter that summarize um, related literature information. Okay, so you can set several sections, as I mentioned just now, and it is common that we include infographics as well as tables. Okay, and if you do not want to create your own infographics, you can uh, consider the infographics from other works, but you need to provide citation, related citations. The same goes to the tables provided in the summary of previous work. You need to provide references so that we can rely on the quality of your summary. Okay. After summarizing the information from previous study, it is good if we also provide critiques on the existing information. Hmm? So this will make our review article different from uh, the standard narrative review. Okay? By providing comments, opinion, our review work will become what we call a critical review, which is more informative and helpful to others. Conclusion should summarize what you have uh, evaluated in the previous sessions. And usually we provide only one paragraph uh, as a conclusion. And from this conclusion area, also include what can be done in the future and how our uh, summary works, our review works can help the policy making uh, organizations. So in conclusion, you should highlight the importance of your review work. For example, you review about um the potential of plants in producing nanoparticles. So you should relate this potential to the current situation or national agenda if possible. Okay, tips and what to avoid and how we can improve the literature review work. So you need to write your review article objectively, meaning that you must set your own target, whether your article can be read by researchers in certain area only or can also be read by other researchers. Okay? For example, if your article is related to microbiology, okay, you need to set whether your article can be understood by microbiologists only or can be also understood by chemists and other technologies. So that's why setting the context in your title can help you in the following processes. Okay, try to avoid excessive summary instead of critique. Okay, sometimes we are very busy in identifying the literature information, summarizing them in table. We are busy in doing that, but forget to provide uh, the comments on the existing information. Okay, it is still acceptable if we summarize the information only. But if we can provide the critics or comments on the existing information, our review article would be more informative and useful to others. Okay. So in order to provide the critic sentence, we cannot rely on one or two previous articles only. Usually we need to read, we need to understand more than 5 or 10 different articles. Then we can provide the critic. If not, our critic sentence is not acceptable at all. Okay, then our critic should be uh, supported by the previous article as well. Okay, so that our critic is not um, um, uh, so that our critic align with what we want to discuss in the selected issues. Okay, the last one is using visual aids. As I mentioned just now, infographics. You can use different colors to make your infographics readable, informative, and also understandable. Then infographics could actually represent the way we summarize the information as well. Okay, so without the existing literature information, without the sufficient literature information, we cannot produce the infographics, the correct infographics. So make sure before preparing certain infographics, we need to read a lot, and we need to ensure that those information is relevant to what we want to summarize in infographics. Okay, colorful infographics can improve readability and also comprehension. Okay, for example, simple infographic. So you can use the function of PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. You can simply use smart art infographics provided in PowerPoint. Actually, the way we classify the infographic is subjective. It depends on individuals. But at least if we compare several infographics, we can see the difference between them in terms of the complexity, uh, and also in terms of how much the information is provided. So to me, this one looks a simple infographic. Moving on to the moderate infographic, we need to include some analysis so that we can provide more information. In a complex infographic, usually we need to set several legends. We need to provide sufficient labels for different items. Okay. um, I recommend you create your own infographics, probably using Canva program or PowerPoint program, but using AI tools to generate infographic is not recommended, unless you highlight, unless you um, what we call expose what you have used, and so that other researchers can also produce similar infographics. And sometimes using AI tools to generate infographic does not show the originality, and also understanding of authors. Whatever it is, it depends on how we use the tool to produce infographics. Okay, any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, we have many students here. For example, Nadia Budiman. So, what can you understand about research gaps? Nadia Budiman, any response from you?
Yes.
What can you understand about the research gap?
Um, research gap is more like there a few research on the particular topic. Maybe not many paper doing on a certain topic.
It shows what is known and unknown, right?
Yes.
Okay, usually where we include this research gap sentence, in conclusion or abstract or introduction, where is it?
In significant of study.
Significant of study.
Introduction, significant of study.
Uh, problem segment.
Problem statement.
Bukan
Ah,
significant of study.
okay.
Okay. Dalam abstract pun biasanya kita include gap sentence tu, sebab dia akan menunjukkan the flow of our work lah. Sebab kita tak akan buat review artikel ataupun original artikel so Semua boleh dengar ke suara saya?
Baru boleh, Doktor.
Boleh, Prof.
Dengar, Doktor.
Boleh dengar sudah.
Tadi saya terkeluar kan?
Ya, Prof.
Ya, Doktor.
Okay, we'll continue with several slides. Okay, sharing my PowerPoint slides. Is this clear?
Ya.
Okay, so mungkin topik ni redundant lah. Sebab sudah explain by Dr. Faris. But just to highlight that we we have tools to simplify our work, at the same time maintaining the quality of our work. Nowadays, too many AI tools can be used, but please identify the one that is, of course, FOC, free of charge, because we do not want to spend much on the tools that we will not use in different situations. Okay, tapi kalau you percaya, ChatGPT, for example, is very useful for job application, promoting products, apa lagi, doing research and so on. Then would be baru berbaloi lah. You subscribe premium mode of ChatGPT. Okay, if you just want to complete your FIP work, I suggest that you use the free AI tools only. We have Perplexity, Elicit, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and others, Canva as well. It is enough if we use FOC AI tools to complete review articles. Importantly, you know how to provide the instruction to the tools. You know how to create acceptable or good prompt so that you can get the desired output from these AI tools. Basically, we can use all these AI tools to provide outlines of your review articles. I believe many of you do not know what to provide in review article, because review article is very long, usually containing 5,000 words, too many citations, too many information to be summarized. You might be clueless. So I suggest you provide a prompt or instruction to ChatGPT or DeepSeek or other tools, asking them to provide outlines for your review articles. Okay, for example, please provide outlines of a review article related to the effects of compound A on cell viability, for example. So your prompt or instruction should be specific, and I believe you will get the desired information for your review articles. So from those, with those outlines, it helps you to construct your article structure. You can see the flow of your review article from one stage to another stage and finally conclusion. Okay, without AI tools, students, researchers can still provide a good article structure, but it may take a longer time to complete. Probably within 1 hour, within the 10 minutes, you can get a